A review of Wars of the Gods, Ancient Wars, the mod for Rome 2 Total War. Wars of the Gods is one of the largest overhaul mods out there for Total War Rome 2. It is a sort of spiritual successor to the previous compilation mods put together by Toon Total War in years past, the all-in-one mods for Shogun 2 and Napoleon. However, I would say that this mod is an even larger effort than those mods. It includes overhauls to all aspects of the game, including the graphics, the gameplay, the campaign, the economy, the battles, the units, the buildings. Everything looks and feels very different when compared to vanilla. When you first start up Wars of the Gods, you'll notice that all factions are playable. This is a very cool addition, especially considering that every faction has been given some attention and really feel fleshed out. This is true for all the campaigns, somewhat surprisingly, which is very impressive indeed. Additionally, it's not as if units and buildings have been added willy-nilly, with no thought given to historical progression and preserving faction uniqueness. There is a lot to be said here about how much thought has gone into every faction unit roster, building chain, and technology tree. The other thing you'll notice when you dive into the campaign as any faction is that the 2D art and UI has been completely overhauled. I have to say that prior to trying out Wars of the Gods, I didn't dislike the Rome 2 UI and 2D art as much as a lot of people did. I find the stylized art to be okay, even though the sort of Greek black art style of the unit cards is a bit jarring, especially when playing as non-Greco-Roman factions. I definitely don't like the Rome 2 stylized 2D art nearly as much as the art in Shogun 2, for example, which I feel is leagues better in every regard. The original Rome style is also, in my opinion, better. Again, this is not to say that the Rome 2 style is bad, it just, in my opinion, could have been a lot better. The other downside of the Rome 2 style is that everything, in the end, feels a bit flat and lifeless, which is unfortunate. This was a period where a lot was colorful, and the statues, walls, paintings with amazing colorful artwork in almost every aspect of life. But Rome 2 almost makes things feel colorless or sanitized. You'll immediately notice that Wars of the Gods rectifies this with its colorful but still somewhat stylized unit cards, building icons, and other UI elements. This is such a refreshing change, and I really like what they've done in this department. They have definitely breathed new life into Rome 2. Battles in Wars of the Gods are quite fun and have been tweaked in a few different ways. They have been slowed down, but not to the degree of some mods like Roma Surrectum or Europa Barbarorum. Bran MacBorn, famous for his AI mods and tweaks for several Total War games and mods as well, has done extensive work in this department, and his AI improvements help the AI a lot, especially in terms of flanking and responding to the actions of the player. I am actually a fan of the battles in vanilla Rome 2, especially when compared to the extremely fast battles of vanilla Rome Total War, but they are definitely improved in Wars of the Gods and are not slowed down too much either. The way combat looks and plays out in terms of the matched combat animations has also been improved noticeably. A quick note about unit rosters. I know there are a lot of people who enjoy having smaller, more focused rosters that make factions feel different from each other. I would say that even though Wars of the Gods adds a ton of new units to the game, they don't detract from the uniqueness of each faction's unit roster. And in fact, I think the units included in Wars of the Gods are really fantastic, both on the low end and high end. Gone are the generic units, such as Eastern Infantry, in favor of more interesting, dynamic, unique, and developing unit rosters that, like in historically accurate mods for Rome Total War, reflect the historical development each faction underwent during this period. For example, the Eastern Kingdoms start out simply as Achaemenid successor states with Achaemenid-type units, but as you advance further in the building and tech trees, Your unit roster evolves, and you get access to more unique units, reflecting how much your faction has distanced itself from its initial state at the start of the campaign. In terms of campaign gameplay, things are definitely very different when compared to vanilla Rome 2. Things are more dynamic, with larger armies running around and a very aggressive AI. The AI is definitely not passive in Wars of the Gods, that's for sure. At the start of the campaign, you have to get to work on diplomacy and making alliances immediately, or else you might find yourself quickly overwhelmed, depending on the faction you choose. The campaign gameplay is definitely the part that's most reminiscent of Darth mods, since it favors huge armies and battles much more than vanilla or some of the other major overhauls like Divide et Impera or Europa Barbarorum, or Ancient Empires for Attila, for that matter. It's definitely more Invasio Barbarorum than Europa Barbarorum in terms of the amount and size of armies running around. This makes it personally not the mod for me, but for those that appreciate a more dynamic campaign from the start rather than a slow, construction-focused, building-up campaign, Wars of the Gods is for you. One of the best parts of Wars of the Gods is its customizability. For me, personally, the default settings for Wars of the Gods are a bit too much like default Darth Mod Empire, with an economy system that is a bit too easy to manage for my taste. There's simply, in my estimation, a bit too much money going around. However, this is where the strength of Wars of the Gods comes in. For players like me, there is a hard economy optional download that makes the economy management more difficult and reduces the budget you have to work with in general. There are several different options for various aspects of the game, including the People of Rome edition that adds a population mechanic, and several other kinds of tweaks, depending on the preference of the player. Rome 2 is a very large game, with several DLC campaigns. I don't own all of the DLC. I have Caesar and Gaul, Wrath of Sparta, and Empire Divided, but not Rise of the Republic or Hannibal at the Gates, so I can't test out how Wars of the Gods affects all the different campaigns. However, I have to say that it is incredibly impressive that this mod overhauls every aspect of the game, including all of the different campaigns. This definitely gives this mod a leg up over some of its competitors in terms of being a jack-of-all-trades overhaul mod for Rome 2. Rome 2 is a game that I haven't talked too much about on the channel, except in my Total War tier list video, but I don't dislike it. I even think that unmodded, it's a solid game, even better than vanilla original Rome Total War. Now, does that mean I think it's perfect, or as good as it could have been? No, not at all. I definitely think there were several things, especially the launch, that could have been improved significantly, both in terms of gameplay and aesthetics. I'm looking at you, giant settlements. Wars of the Gods really takes Rome 2 to the next level in terms of the graphical style, immersion, and the gameplay, really improving the depth of the game in pretty much every aspect. In conclusion, I have to say that Wars of the Gods is an excellent total overall modification of Rome 2. At the start of making this review, I approached Wars of the Gods like one of the old all-in-one compilation mods, but it really is its own beast. Every faction in every campaign is playable. For a game with as many large campaigns as Rome 2, that is an incredible feat. Every tech tree, every unit roster, every building chain, all of it has been overhauled, including the 2D art and graphics. The gameplay, including the battles and the campaign, has also been overhauled in order to be a bit more deliberate, though not as slow as a mod like Europa Barbarorum, or with the same eye for historical development. While I wouldn't say everything in the campaign has been designed with the care of a mod like Europa Barbarorum or Divide et Impera, that is definitely a differentiating factor, and every game can really turn out differently due to the way the campaign has been balanced. In the end, Wars of the Gods is a massive, excellent mod that deserves your full attention, especially since it is still in active development, and things can be changed based on player feedback. I give Wars of the Gods my full recommendation, with the hard economy and more field battles optional add-ons, of course. It's not the perfect mod for me personally again. Even with the hard economy add-on, I find that there is a bit too much money floating around, and too many huge armies as a result, from the immediate beginning. But for players that enjoy those types of mods with a lot of epic battles, this mod will deliver in droves. I don't dislike those types of mods at all, they're just not exactly what I'm looking for personally, as a player that enjoys building up my empire slowly, perhaps due to my roots as a Civilization player. I am planning on doing a Let's Play eventually, in order to showcase this excellent mods gameplay in more depth, so stay tuned for that. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.